Shalom, everybody. This is Stuart Dauermann from Interfaithfulness, where we're building bridges where history builds walls. And today I'm joined by my fellow bridge builder, Dr. Bruce Stokes. Hello, Bruce. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Stuart. How are you doing?
I'm doing great too. And Bruce and I are involved in a project which we're calling Table Talk because we're involved in the whole issue of Havurot, of household familial fellowships. And that takes place around a table. So we call our little get togethers Table Talk. And today we want to talk about Havurot in a post COVID world. A Havurah is a meeting, again, a familial gathering where people eat together, pray together, learn together, and grow in the knowledge of God together for the sake of Tikkun Olam, for the sake of the world. But we're in a changing world. So we want to talk about these kind of familial fellowships in a post COVID world. Not that COVID is over, but that we now are dealing with the COVID reality. Let me ask you, Bruce, you're leading a congregation in Orange County. How has COVID changed things for you?
Well, of course, when it first started, we had to basically shut down and move into the Zoom world, what I call Zoomeria, near the uttermost parts of the world. And that was a fairly easy transition for us because we focus on the household, and many of our households are in each other's lives and that. So many of our people would put a television and a camera in the backyard. They would meet out there in the smaller groups, almost like a Havurah, and then they would connect to the service that was coming from the sanctuary that almost had no one in it because we only had the people that were running the music and the message. And even I was doing the messages from home.
In my synagogue, we used to meet in rented facilities that were leased by a church. This church leased the materials, and then we kind of leased they leased the space, and we leased the space from them. So they had a landlord, and they were our landlords. Well, what with COVID, they stopped meeting in their space, and we stopped meeting in the space, and we went to virtual reality, and then eventually they lost their place. And so we no longer had a place to meet. And we've been meeting virtually, I don't know, maybe 15 months. So I'm finding that because reality is changing, if we don't change with the changing reality, we're going to be left behind. And so we're looking at our virtual meeting, which meets every week, and we have a very loyal clientele, if I can call it that, constituency. We're meeting every week, and it's regularly a sizable group. That's kind of our basic group. It's what church growth specialist Carl George calls a fishing pool. A fishing pool is a large gathering of people from which you select others for smaller gatherings. So we have this larger fishing pool, which is virtual. We didn't plan it this way, but reality has forced us into this. And out of that fishing pool, we are going to begin forming Havurot, household fellowships, familial fellowships where people eat together, pray together, learn together, and worship God together for the sake of Tikkun Olam, for the sake of the world. So that's how it's going to work with us. But you had a head start on that because you already had familial gatherings, didn't you?
Yes, and it sounds like we're talking about two sides of a coin. We're doing it within the congregation that developed so that we could survive when we couldn't meet for whatever reasons. We then found that we could continue if somebody was sick or somebody was on vacation or somebody had to relocate, they could still stay connected in that framework. What you're doing opens the doors to other people that could then be brought in. So we're working on how do we maintain community when we can't always be together. And you're saying, how can we bring people into community when we can't bring them to a location? So I think both of those are really important.
And we're also looking to involve the people who are already part of our broad community into something which is more face-to-face spirituality, because it's not, we're not counting heads here. We need face-to-face spirituality because we are the family of God. And if we don't grow in familial relationship with each other, we don't grow in familial relationship with God.
Absolutely.
So what we're going to do is try and form these virtual Havurot that are geographically proximal to each other, so that God willing, as if God willing, the COVID crisis dies down, these can then evolve into face-to-face gatherings within four walls.
Right. In the
But
home.
right now, we're going to form them in virtual walls. We're building a bridge to a virtual bridge to a Havurot reality. That's what we're doing.
Right. I think that's a doorway in. We also have a place to be when we can't meet, but we can also use it supplementally. So I really think that this is how we figure out a way to use technology and face to face, where the focus is not the technology, it's the interactions of the relationships.
And one of the things that we have done that's really worked for us, although not everybody is doing this, is we we're not simply trying to broadcast a big public meeting on virtual reality. We're not trying to transfer a public meeting to virtual space. We're having a different kind of meeting, which is more geared to the particulars of Zoomtopia, or whatever you want to call it. And by the grace of God, it's working well together. I had a Bible study last night, for example. I had 40 people there. That's good attendance for a Bible study, especially when those 40 people are coming every week for a year. Something is happening.
Yes.
So,
I'll tell you, one of the things we discovered, and you know this because you've seen it in our congregation, is we found that there's still a way, even with the technology, to have it be participatory rather than spectator. And so by using this where people can do the readings, they can talk back and forth, you can do Q&A, you can really make it interactive. It doesn't have to be just watching a YouTube video of somebody talking.
yeah, we're breaking up into discussion groups. We're using a lot of different technologies that are geared to the reality that we're facing. I think the trick is, don't try to recreate a prior reality and
Yes.
then kind of relocate it in virtual space, but ask yourself, what kind of a reality can we create in virtual space that
Exactly.
is going to be vital and living?
Right.
I went to school with somebody at Fuller Seminary. His name was Sean Redford, a very handsome guy, red hair too. Sean Redford, very handsome, very bright. And this is about 35 years ago. He had the idea that they were going to have congregations on the internet. And I thought the guy was nuts. I thought, that's really strange, really strange. But he was way, way, way ahead of the game. Sean Redford, he's a good man. And so is this ideal? No, but we've got to deal with the reality that we're facing. We don't know how long we're going to be dealing with a COVID reality, what with the various mutations and permutations of this
That's
virus.
correct. But we also have financial constraints. We have people that get sick. This is not something that it's an either or. It's a way to mend them together and make the best use of them.
Yes, and then there may be some people who want to get involved with us. We've formed something called the Havurot Action Initiative, because there's no place like home for the people of God. And Bruce, you and we've been dealing with this. I first started dealing with this stuff when I first became a believer. It's been decades and decades, and it's been decades for you too. So if people want to get together with us, there are various ways they can do it. Let me see if I can make life easier for people by giving them ways to connect with us. Just 1 second. They can subscribe, for example, to Shulchan Shalano, which is a household discussion guide. And here's how they can do it. Oh, no, there it's not there yet. Just a moment, I'll find it for you. Shulchan Shalanu, which is a home study guide. There it is. Uh, it's very easy to subscribe to. Just go to www.interfaithfulness.org/Shulchan, and we're going to be adding a new feature to Shulchan Shalanu, which is going to be called Table Talk, where we're going to be discussing Havurot realities. But it's really a discussion guide, a Shabbat home discussion guide for promoting face-to-face spirituality around your table. So subscribe to Shulchan Shalanu at www.interfaithfulness.org/Shulchan. You can get a free copy there and check it out. And Bruce, you and I are going to be doing some more of these discussions, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, I think we're going to be releasing these on Tuesdays, because the Bible says that Tuesday is the only day in which God said it was very good twice. So we kind of make Tuesday a special day. So for now, I think we've got to gear ourselves up to say ta-ta for now, and invite people to come and join with us here at Shulchan Shalanu and at interfaithfulness.org and at the Havurot Action Initiative. So I'll say bye-bye to you for now, Bruce. So shalom right. For now. And shalom everyone else from Interfaithfulness, where we're building bridges, where history builds walls. So thank you for joining with us, building bridges, where history builds walls.